What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel where I talk about video design and career building. I'm John the Video Guy. I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a neon sign effect inside After Effects. So let me show you what we're going to be creating. So this is a sample. So as you can see, there's signage. It's just an open sign, and it kind of has this like neon tube type of looking thing. So we're going to learn how to stylize this technique, give it that neon tube look, how to animate it, and to do the background as well. So if this sounds interesting, stay tuned and we'll dive in shortly. But first, as always, guys, I really appreciate it if you hit the like button and consider subscribing if you are new to the channel. I post twice a week on a Monday and a Thursday. And with that, let's dive in. All right, so the first thing we need is a background. So a good place to go is called unsplash.com, where you can download free royalty-free images. I'm just going to type in brick wall. And this one looks good, so I'll hit the download button. And the next step in the Finder, I will drag and drop it into our After Effects project. And now I'll make a new composition by going to Composition, New Composition. We'll name this Neon Sign. And you can make this whatever you want. I'm going to leave it at 1080 at 30 frames a second, 30 seconds long. Click OK. And we're going to drag and drop this brick background into our composition. I'm hitting S on the keyboard, and we're going to scale this down a little bit. And we're going to stylize this to actually make it look darker. So the first effect we're going to add, if you go into your effects and presets, is called the curves effect. So drag and drop that onto your layer. And then what you want to do is grab this guy and kind of bring him down a little bit. That way we kind of crush the midtones, crush the highs a little bit, make the shadows more intense. That way it kind of looks like it's at night. And then that looks good. So the next effect we'll add is called a tint. And this basically desaturates the layer. And once you drag and drop it on there, I changed it to about 85 works. So kind of gives it that desaturated look, that dark kind of feel. And the last effect I'll add is a vignette. So drag and drop a vignette on there, and that gives a nice dark edge or border kind of around the neon sign. So that's looking good. And then lastly, what we're going to do is make a new solid. So go to Layer, New Solid, and it's just going to be a black solid. I'm going to name this Overlay, and click OK. And we're going to hit T on the keyboard, bring up the opacity, and I change it to about 45. So that looks good. It looks like nighttime, kind of like a night brick wall type of background. And lastly, we're going to take these layers to make some more room in the composition timeline. Right click and go to Pre-Compose, and we'll name this background, and click OK. All right, so we got our background. All right, so the next step we're going to focus on is creating the actual sign. So we want to make sure we design it first, and then we'll add the effects and animate it later. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our text tool. So grab the text tool, and we're going to click out into the composition, and you can type whatever word you want. I'm just going to make a simple open sign. So I typed out open, and a good font to use is called Beyond. So I'll link that down in the video description. Feel free to go and grab that. It's a free font. And it kind of looks like a neon tubing type of font, so that's a good one to have in your arsenal. And if you go into the Align panel, you can center this to the composition. For now, we'll change the actual color of the text to white, and that looks good. The next step is to grab your rectangle tool and make the outline for the sign, and that looks good. Just drag it, and we'll change this to white as well. Click OK, and we'll make sure this is aligned using the Align tool, and that looks pretty good. The last thing with the shape layer that I did is I added a trims path to kind of match the neon sign font. So if you add a trims path and you untwirl it, you can change the end to about 99, and if you untwirl the rectangle and go into stroke 1, you can change the line cap to round cap, and you can change the line joint to round joint. And what this does, it gives it a nice little round, if we zoom in here, round cap on the edges, and then in the trim paths, it has a nice cap as well. So that kind of matches the font as well. So everything kind of looks cohesive between the shape layer and the text layer. All right, so next what we're gonna do is actually duplicate this. We're gonna make two different signs, and basically what's gonna happen here is I just duplicated it by hitting Command D, move the two layers up. These two layers are gonna be our sign, and then these two layers are gonna be like the sign being off. So this is like off, and then these are gonna be on. So that's important to realize when we move forward here. All right, so next we're gonna stylize this. So for the on and off, I'm gonna focus on off first. I'm gonna show you what's a cool effect that you can add to kind of make it look like it's like off, like a sign, neon sign's off. But first, I wanna shout out today's sponsor, the Post Show Podcast. Are you looking to take your video or design career to the next level? Well, the Post Show Podcast features conversations with entrepreneurs, video professionals, and content creators. Listen to their stories and learn valuable insights on what it takes to build a successful career. Season 2 just launched, and it's all about building a personal brand. So go check out the links down in the video description to see if you'd be interested. And with that, back to today's video. So if you click on open, we'll right click, and what you can do, similar to Photoshop, is you have layer styles, and you can add different layer style effects. And for being off, a neon sign being off, a good one to use is bevel and emboss. And when we click on that, you'll add it, and then under layer styles, we can untwirl it, go into highlight color, and what we'll do is change this highlight color to a dark gray. And click OK. And actually what will work too is if we actually change the fill color to black for the text, and same with the shape layer, we'll change this to black as well. And then once that happens, let's make this a little lighter, and we'll change the size, give it a little bit more to it. That way it kind of looks embeveled and embossed as the effect applies, and that's looking good. To apply it to the shape layer, make sure bevel emboss is selected, hit Command C on your keyboard, then go up to your shape layer and hit Command V. Now I'll paste that look. So there we go, we kind of have an off look. And then for the actual glow or the neon tubing, we'll turn these layers on, and first we'll change the color of our actual font, of our actual text, and the rectangle tool. So for the open, I'll do red, and for the shape layer, you can change it to blue. You can make this any color you want, but that's a classic open sign. So what we're going to do to the open and basically the on neon sign is add an inner glow. So right click, go to layer styles and add inner glow. And when we untwirl this, the settings that I usually change the color to white. Click OK. And then the source, instead of it having on the edge, change it to center, and then change the choke to about 25, and the size to 15. And that gives it kind of like a neon sign type of tubing. If you zoom in here, looks like it's emanating out from the center. So that's a cool effect that you can add. And then to copy it, same thing, make sure inner glow is selected, hit Command C, go to your shape layer and hit Command V, and I'll add the layer style to the rectangle. All right, so the next part is to add the glow. So what we're gonna do is with the open text layer selected, we'll go back to our effects and presets, clear this out, and type in glow, and we'll drag and drop it onto the layer. And a good setting is just change the glow radius. This will kind of expand it. If you change it to 90, you get a nice glow happening. And then if you can change this depending on the project you're working on. It will be really dependent on the color that you choose, if it's not red or blue, and also on the background. So feel free to mess with these settings in here to get it for your specific project. For me, these settings work in my case, but you'll probably have to adjust it for whatever you're working on. So to copy and paste it to the other one, just hit Command C and then paste it onto the shape layer. So now we have a nice glow effect on both the text and the shape layer. All right, guys, so the last part is going to be to animate it. So for the text, I'm just going to animate the opacity of the layer. It kind of flickers in a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that. And for the shape layer, I'm going to use the trim paths, basically animating the end parameter of the trim paths to animate the box coming in and lighting up. All right, so for the open, hit T on your keyboard, hit the stopwatch, and we'll change it to 0. We'll zoom in here, go about maybe 5 frames, change it to 100, go about 10 frames, go down to maybe 65, go out to 15 frames, and then maybe 100. So it kind of comes in and out. So that looks good. And then for the shape, if you click on this, we'll untwirl it and go back into trim paths, and we'll basically keyframe, hit the stopwatch on the end, go out to about a second, make another keyframe, go back to the beginning and change it to 0. That way it animates in. And what I did is I selected these keyframes and then right clicked, and you can go to Easy Ease. And to even enhance this further, you can go into the graph editor, click on it, and then click here and kind of adjust this. That way it kind of comes in fast and ends slow, kind of like that. So this is our animation. Looking good. The last part I'll go over is, say if you wanted to update the text, what you can do is actually parent pick whip the bottom layer to the top layer. That way if you change it on one layer, the other layer will automatically update. So to do that, if you untwirl both text layers, I'll hit tilde on my keyboard. That way the panel goes full screen here. We'll untwirl text. And then for the source text, just parent pick whip it to this. And we'll hit tilde again to collapse that. That way if we change this text to like a new text, and we go back to the beginning, that underlying text layer changes as well, and it follows whatever is on top. So there you go, guys. That's how to create a neon sign effect inside Adobe After Effects. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to watch more After Effects tutorials, I've put together a playlist for you guys where I go over similar tutorials on different motion graphics that you can create, different design techniques and whatnot. I'll link that right up here. Feel free to go check that out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.